All right, so now we're going to move into add and subtract. So, in order to add and subtract fractions, you have to have, oops, common denominators. All right, so I'm going to show you maybe a little different way to build a common denominator. With the denominators 8 and 20, I want you to think of all of the prime factors that make up each one. Let me change my color. So 8 is 2 times 4, or 2 times 2 times 2. Remember making those prime factor trees back in elementary school? 20 is 4 times 5, 2 times 2 times 5. So our goal is to have all the same factors at the bottom. See how this side has a 5, but this side doesn't? I need to multiply top and bottom by 5 so they both have a 5. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Or if I multiply by 5 over 5, do you see I'm just multiplying by 1? So I'm not changing the problem, I'm just rearranging it. Now, is everything the same yet? I have 1 5, 3 2's. Here I have 1 5, 2 2's. So I need another 2. So any extra part that I put on the bottom, I multiply the top and bottom by that same value. So what I end up having then, I have 25 over 5 times 2 is 10, times 2 is 20, times 2 is 40. Plus 7 times 2 is 14. So I just created common denominators using common factors. I want the same number on the bottom, and I just did that by using my factors. Now I add the top and keep my common denominator. So now we're going to do that, but we're going to do it with polynomials. All right, so let's start out kind of easy. If you have a common denominator, you just add or subtract the numerator, keep the denominator. 3x minus x is 2x. The common denominator is 8. Do you notice, though, there's a common factor that we can reduce? Because 8 is 2 times 4, so I can cancel my common factor of 2, and I get x over 4. Here we have a common denominator of 4, so I can add my numerator, x plus 2. X plus 2, or x plus x is 2x plus 2 over 4. Now this is what we were doing on the previous worksheet though. See how there is a common factor of 2, a GCF. I can divide out the 2. Oops, that should be a 1. So I factor my numerator. 2 goes into 4 twice. And this is my most simplified answer. All right. We have a common denominator. So I keep my common denominator, add the numerator. Now let's do 2x plus x, add like terms, 3x, 5 plus 4 is 9. Can I simplify? there's a GCF in my numerator. I can factor out a GCF of 3. Now I have a common factor of x plus 3. Final answer, 3. All right, so these were all problems that had a common denominator. Let's focus on how would we get a common denominator. So 5 and 7, those are both prime numbers, so I need to multiply 5 times 7 to get my common denominator of 35. All right, let's look at all the factors here. 2 is a factor, x is a factor, y is a factor, 3 is a factor, x is a factor. I need every factor represented in my least common denominator. I need a 2, I need an x, I need a y. I also need a 3, but see how I already have an x? I don't need to list it twice. 2 times 3 is 6xy. You need every factor represented. Now, it might be more helpful for you guys if you do it this way. Is there any factor missing here that you see in this denominator? This is missing a 3. What is missing over here? You have the 3, you need the 2, you have the x, you need the y. So would it be easier just to build each side until they share a common denominator? Either way, my final answer for a common denominator is 6xy. All right. In order to build a common denominator using factors, everything needs to be in factored form. A is a factor, a plus b is a factor. This is not completely factored, so the first thing you need to do is factor it. A plus b, a minus b. In my least common denominator, I need each factor represented. I need this a, I need this a plus b. Now, when you jump to the next fraction, compare. Are we missing anything? We already have the a plus b. We still need an a minus b. This is my least common denominator because if I multiply each of these by one thing, I get my common denominator. All right. Factor, 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 factor. GCF. They 2 can go into both 2 and 12. They both contain an x. Factor out the 2x. So I need a 2x and an x plus 6. Factor, 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 factor. Remember, there's like a little line here. X and x, factors of 30 that subtract to get 1. Plus 6 minus 5. Start at the beginning. You need a 2x, an x plus 6. Now, is there anything we're missing from the other denominator that we don't have yet? We still need an x plus 5. So we need to multiply this by 2x and 2x. This we need an x minus 5 and an x minus 5, and we'd have our common denominator. So let's actually practice adding and subtracting unlike denominators. All right, so I want to break my 6 into my factors of 2 and 3, A and B. 8 is 2 and 4 and A. All right, now we have a 2 in both of them. This one has a 3, so I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 3, so they both have a 3. They both have an A, they both need a B, so I need to multiply top and bottom by B. This one has a 4, so I need to multiply top and bottom by 4. All right, my numerator, 5 times 4 is 20. 2 times 3 times 4 is 24 AB. Minus 7 times 3 times B is 21B. 2 times 4 times 3, 24 AB. So when you get done, your denominators should be the same. Now I just go straight across. 20 minus 21B all over the denominator of 24 AB. All right. Now, this is one factor. The minus connects the A and the 3 together. This is one factor. The plus connects A and 5 together. So this side needs A minus 3, so I multiply top and bottom by A minus 3. This side needs A plus 5, so I multiply top and bottom by A plus 5. Now we need to distribute the top. You never need to distribute the bottom though. Distribute the top. Our goal is always to have a common denominator when we get done. If you don't, then you got to go back and start over. Now we're just going to add my numerators. 4A plus 9A, 13A, 20 plus negative 27 minus 7, and that's over my common denominator of A plus 5 times A minus 3. All right, last set of problems. First of all, I want you to think about 6 is 2 times 3. X squared is x times x. There's no plus or minus here, so I can look at each factor separately. Here, there's a GCF. 4 times x. If I divide out the 4x, I get x minus 3. Now let's think of 4 though. 4 you want to think of is 2 times 2 times x minus 3. Now let's build our common denominator. So first of all, they each have a 2. This one has a 3, so I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 3. This one has another 2, so I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 2. See how this has 2 x's and this one only has one single x? I'm going to have to multiply top and bottom by x. This one has an x minus 3, so now I need to multiply top and bottom by x minus 3. So we have 5 times 2 is 10. We still need to multiply our x minus 3. All right, if we put all this together, 2 times 3 times 2 is 12. X times x is x squared, and x minus 3. That's my common denominator. Ugly, ugly. Plus 3 times x is 3x squared. So we have 3 times 2 times 2, 12, x times x squared, x minus 3. We just distribute here 10x minus 30, and I could have put it all together. We can just go straight across 10x minus 30 plus 3x squared over my common denominator. Final answer. All right, last example. Factor, 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 factor. I have to build my common denominator using common factors. X and x, factors of 4 that add to get 4. X and x plus 2 minus 2. All right, what is important here, this has 2 x plus 2's. This one only has 1. So I have to multiply top and bottom of this one by an extra x plus 2. This side has an x minus 2, so I need to multiply top and bottom here by x minus 2. So my common denominator is x plus 2, x plus 2, x minus 2. Go ahead and we'll distribute all of that. X times x times negative 2, 1 times x, 1 times negative 2. Minus, now let's distribute here, 2x plus 4 over my common denominator. All right, now be very careful here because we're subtracting. What do we do with all subtraction? Add the opposite. So I'm going to distribute my negative all the way through. Common denominator. This is my only x squared. Negative 2x plus negative 2x, negative 4x. Oh, plus this one x. Hang on. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1, plus negative 2 is negative 3x. Sorry about that. Negative 2 plus negative 4 is negative 6. All right, this is going to take a couple of days just to kind of sink in. So please take your notes, have your notes ready for the workday.